So we are now recording this session. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Daniel Miller. I'm back again with you today for another session. Today we're going to be looking at some additional methodologies and approaches to follow up on the CLT that we looked at last session. So share the screen here with you. And on the Canvas platform, we can see here's the CLT and Audio-Lingual section right here. And then after that comes the notional functional syllabus, which it was developed in the 1970s, started in the United Kingdom in the 1970s. It was developed as the work by the Council of Europe, and it was followed by numerous interpretations of notional syllabuses. The distinguishing characteristics of the NFS were its attention to functions as the organizing elements of English language curriculum, and its contrast with the structural syllabus in which sequenced grammatical structures served as the organizers. What they're referring to there is the grammar translation method that was used for many centuries to learn new languages and to translate from one language to another. So they decided to follow these different notions, and the notions, according to Van Eck and Alexander in 1980, are both general and precise. General notions are abstract concepts such as existence, space, time, quantity, and quality. They are domains in which we use language to express thought and feeling within the general notion of space and time. For example, are the concepts of location, motion, dimension, speed, the length of time, frequency, etc. Specific notions correspond more closely to what we've become accustomed to calling contexts or situations. Personal identification, for example, is a specific notion under which name, address, and phone number and other personal information are subsumed. Other specific notions include travel, health and welfare, education, shopping, services, and free time. The functions part of the NFS, the notional functional syllabus, corresponds to language functions. Curricula are organized around such functions as identifying, reporting, denying, accepting, declining, asking permission, apologizing, etc. Van Eck and Alexander in 1980 list some 70 different language functions. We're not going to list all 70, but there is a short list of some functions here that are used as categorization subsections within this methodology. So for instance, introductions, greetings, and goodbyes is one category. Invitations, apologies, and condolences is another category, etc., etc. Typical unit in this textbook included a presentation of dialogues, conversation practice with a classmate, situations in which the student figures out what would I say, role plays, and chart work. It included multiple choice exercises on functional considerations. One-sided dialogues where the student fills in responses, nonverbal considerations, discussion activities, and community practices for extra class practice. In this historical sketch of methodology, it is essential to recognize that the NFS did not necessarily develop communicative competence in learners, but it set the stage for bigger and better things. By attending to the functional purposes of language and providing contextual or notional settings for the realization of those purposes, it provided a link between a dynasty of methods that were now perishing and a new era of language teaching called communicative language teaching, CLT. Here's a video about the communicative approach. Let's see if we can play this so that you can hear it.
You may have noticed that originators of the methods demonstrated on these videotapes take as their primary goal students communicating in the target language. Many of these same methodologists emphasize the acquisition of linguistic structures or vocabulary. In the last method we will observe, the communicative approach, it is acknowledged that structures and vocabulary are important. However, adherents of the communicative approach feel that students must master the functions or purposes to which language is put before they will be able to truly use the language. Watch how this view of language influences the way the teacher designs the lesson. The communicative approach will be demonstrated by my colleague, Alex Silverman.
Anyway, today we're going to start a brand new unit. And this unit will be focusing on a new function, persuasion. How do you convince people to believe in your point of view? Okay, I think this will be a useful skill for you to have both in your academic work and as you function in the larger world in everyday life. And the topic that we'll be using to work on this art or skill of persuasion will be the best place to live. We're going to talk about different kinds of living situations. Okay, now it so happens that my family is facing an important decision on this topic, the best place to live. And I'll tell you the reason why. Like many American families, maybe some that you know, my family, we all started out together. I grew up in New York City, and of course, everyone was together. And then, as the children grew up, we spread out all over the country. And now we live hundreds or thousands of miles from each other. Why do you think? Can you guess maybe why the children moved to different places?
Because
For work?
they had to study.
Studies.
Go to university.
They got married and they moved away.
Yeah.
Yes. Vacation? Yeah, well, my parents went on vacation to Florida once and they liked it and they decided to move there. Okay, so now the situation is this. My parents, Bill and Sarah, live in South Florida. I live in Western Massachusetts in the country with beautiful hills and streams and fields all around. My brother Charlie moved to a big city, Philadelphia. How many people have been to Philadelphia? Just a few. Okay, it's not too far from Washington. And my sister went to Wisconsin, to Madison, which is a small city, for her studies. And she liked it, and she stayed there. Now, here is the problem. My parents are tired of living so far from the children. They would like to get back together, at least for a while, with one of the children. The question is, which place to go to? Since they love each of the children equally, their decision is going to be based on which is the best place to live, a big city, the country, or a small city or town, right? And we are having a family meeting, family council, we call it, to make that decision. And you're going to decide which is the best place, as if you were my family. And I'll be very interested to see what your decision is, okay? Now, we're going to do a little bit of work before the role play on the structure of persuasion. And to start that off, I'd like to talk with you a little bit about where you live and what you like about where you live. How many people here live in a big city at home in your own country? Most of you. How many live in what we would call a small city? Town. And how, just 2 or 3. And how many live in the country? Just 1 in the country? Okay. All right. Well, let's talk about the big city then, since so many of you are from a big city. What are the reasons that you like living in a big city? What are some of the advantages that you find in big city life? Better jobs. Better jobs, okay.
After the students give all their reasons, the teacher gives an example of how one might make a case for living in a big city.
Finally, there's a wider variety of people that you can meet in a big city. Now, what I just did was structure my persuasion in a certain way that we like to do in English. And one term you can use for this structure is making a case. Okay, and if we look at this structure, it's what I just did. We open citing one reason, and we say something like to begin with or first of all, and then we strengthen or build the argument. We cite additional reasons, and we use some of these expressions to make a transition from one reason to another. Besides that, in addition, moreover, furthermore. And the third part of the argument or making the case is perhaps a summary of the main reason or a final reason, right? Now, who can, working with this structure, who can make a case for, let's say, South Florida? Many of you know about Florida. How many people have been to Florida yet? A few of you, but you've all heard of it. Who can make a case for living in Florida using that kind of a formula? Who can start off? Martha?
Well, okay, I should try to convince. In short, I think that the place convenient for you, and it has a very good weather too, all year round. You
Absolutely.
should go there.
I'm ready to go. Goodbye. Yes, who's going to teach you? Okay, well, that's very good. That's the idea. And that's the type of argument you can make in a written form, or when you're, for example, at a business meeting and you're trying to present your point of view, you might use this kind of structure. Okay, now we're going to go.
This is also a very good structure for you to use when you're writing essays.
It is.
The format that he's laying out here, the process that he's describing on this board is a very good structure for you to organize your essays and assignments into, because you want to persuade the reader that you have a good point, that you should be believed when they're reading your paper.
I discussed this in my essay. I watched this video before.
Very good. That's
And-
excellent.
And I discussed this in my essay because this method, we usually use it in writing and in speaking as well.
Yes.
This method later on becomes part of the interactive approach.
That's exactly
We
right.
add other approaches, but this one is the basis for all other approaches that come later on.
Yes. Very good. Yes. Good for you, Sahar. Thank you. So we'll continue the video now. Can you hear it all right?
Yeah.
Okay.
To the role play that I mentioned before, and you're each going to get a chance to practice making a case. Okay? Now, here is what we're going to do in the role play. First of all, you're going to divide into groups of 4, and you will each receive a card. On the card is your identity for the role play. Each of you will be one of the children, me, Alex, Charlie, who lives in Philadelphia, or my sister Lynn, who lives in Madison, small city in Wisconsin. The 4th person in the group will be one of my parents, and it will say this on the card, Bill or Sarah. Here's how it's going to work. When you get the card, you will see information about your home, Madison or Philadelphia or Massachusetts. These will give you hints about how to make a case for your place, okay? What you will do is first take a couple of minutes to study the card, see the information, think of additional reasons besides the one on the card, the ones on the card, for living in your place, okay? You are free to ask me any questions you may have about any of these places, because I've been to all of them. I know them all pretty well, okay? Then, once those 2 minutes are up and you've prepared your case, the family council will start. And what you will do is try to convince Bill or Sarah, the parents, that your place is best. So you make a case in front of Bill or Sarah about your place, and everyone else will listen, okay? Follow the formula for making a case. Once each of the 3 children has made his or her case, the parent in the group, the person playing my father or mother, Bill or Sarah, will decide which is the most convincing argument and will state the reasons why. Okay? So each child makes a case. Bill or Sarah listens, thinks about the arguments, and decides which is the best one, the most convincing one. Then after that, we'll come back in the large group and I'll ask the Bills and Sarahs to report on what they decided. Okay? Any questions about the procedure? Okay, could you move into groups of 4? And I will give you your cards.
What is the reason for yes, your own room and stay with somebody for one of your children? You have to live with the one of yes. Oh, yes. Same thing in original, the same situation. And 2 of the children can help the others entertaining her parents. That's no problem.
Next to my country, and we can come. We can
Remember, ask me if you have any questions about any of the places.
to see us. And I think you have to come in our country, my country.
Yes, but very important. Very important. No, the ear is a very important. But
Yes.
I don't know. Yes.
You're not sure if they're telling the truth?
Okay.
Yeah, the big city might be more polluted.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe that's a reason for the country. Yeah.
Parents are still walking.
Parents are retired. Yeah.
I can offer a work in Massachusetts. It's a very nice work.
Okay.
That's something I have a reason.
Okay, you have. The parents in the group need to decide now. So please decide and tell everyone your reasons right now. Okay. Time to decide. Who was a parent here? Victor?
Yes.
What did you decide?
Yes. I listened carefully what Lynn, Charlie, and Alice said about Wisconsin, Philadelphia, Massachusetts. I think that I was confused at first, but I think that Charlie have the reason, and I decided to go to Philadelphia because it's a big city.
Yeah.
It has a good technology, library, and I like to research.
Do research.
Yeah.
So libraries are important to you.
And I like to swim in the sea.
And the sea isn't too far.
Yes.
Right.
But it has its own boat too.
Oh, he has his own boat.
Yes.
Oh, that's great. Okay, great. So we have one vote for Philadelphia. Okay, one vote for Philadelphia. Okay. Parent, Ibrahima?
I decided to join Alex in Massachusetts.
Oh.
Yeah.
Thank you.
First of all, I have an opportunity to do my job correctly in a town which is not polluted.
Polluted.
Yes.
Yeah. It's not polluted.
In addition, I have an opportunity to visit Boston, which is a good city.
Yeah, and it's not too far.
It's
is
not
it?
too far.
It's a couple of hours.
Yeah.
That's all.
Finally, I think for the fun and for the job and for all every activities, I decided to join Alex.
Okay, so we have one vote for the country. In Western Mass, great. Who else was a parent?
Three families. The first of all, I think I like all of my children. Besides that, we are retired. We have a lot of time to go out to the book round. It's good for our health. So I finally decided to go to the three families. So this year, I will go to the Philadelphia. Next year, we'll go to the Western.
That's a clever solution. So one family each year.
It's quite exciting.
Now, how do I count that kind of vote? I think I'll give one to everyone. Yes, and it'll make Lynn feel good because she doesn't have any votes yet.
My wife and me have a lot of problems because Alex is my first son, and Lynn is my wife's last daughter.
Yes.
And she likes to live with Lynn, and I like to live with my first daughter. This is a problem.
So what did you decide?
So I'm tired. I have 19 years old, and when I die, Alex can take my place and take care of his brothers and sisters. So we decided to live with Alex, and when we die, Alex can take care of his brother and sisters.
Another very creative solution. Wow, I can't wait to call my parents and tell them. So we have another vote for Western Mass, the country. Let's count up the votes. 4 for the country, 3 for the big city, and only 1 for the small city. So I am the winner. Thank you for helping me decide that. Okay, I will see you tomorrow. For homework, I'd like you to write a 1-page composition in which you follow this formula and make a case for your own place where you live in your own country. Okay? 1 page. See you tomorrow. Have a good day.
The lesson we just observed, we saw the students learning to make a case. The vehicle the teacher used to have students practice making their cases was a role play. This gives the language there to use a social context, a characteristic of all communicative events. It also gives the communication a purpose. Moreover, the role play gives the students an opportunity to practice using language forms that are not only linguistically accurate, but sociolinguistically appropriate as well, appropriate to the setting, topics, and participants. By working in small groups, Communicative interaction and cooperative relationships are encouraged. Such occasions give students an opportunity to work on negotiating meaning or trying to make themselves understood. They thus learn to communicate by communicating. As the students role play, the teacher moved from group to group, acting as an advisor or a facilitator instead of as a director. During the last activity, the parents were given the opportunity to report their decision. Students are thus given an opportunity to express their opinions and to share their ideas on a regular basis. When they do so, errors of form are tolerated by the teacher and are seen as a natural outcome of the development of communication skills. The teacher may choose to draw attention to common errors in subsequent lessons, but for now, the focus is on fluency and reinforcing the message that communication is primary. This concludes the second tape of this two-tape video series on language teaching methodologies. You may wish to spend a few minutes reflecting on what you've seen. Try to identify techniques or principles which you find helpful, and think about how you might adapt them to your own teaching situation. Of course, even those techniques or principles which you did not find useful can help you to clarify your own beliefs about the teaching learning process. For instance, what does your rejection of them tell you about your own teaching practice? Being clear about why you do what you do will give you a firm foundation from which to sift through the methods demonstrated here. We have presented some options. Now it is your responsibility to hold them up to the filter of your own beliefs, experience, and the needs of your students. I wish you well.
Excuse me. So that was a very good example of how role play can be used in a classroom to get students participating and involved with each other. And there was a key point that the moderator made in her closing summation, and that was that communication is best learned by communicating. So the very best thing that you can do for your students is provide opportunities for them to communicate with each other and with you as the teacher, and create situations that they can take home with them to communicate at home as well. Because if they're communicating in the target language, then they will learn to communicate better in the target language. These videos, the set of videos that are included on the Canvas platform here are very good, very well presented and very useful. So I would strongly recommend that you watch each of these videos at least once and make notes as you're doing it. Now, just down below that video is a chart comparing audio-lingual and communicative language teaching. We looked at this chart in the TESOL manual the other day, briefly, but here's the chart again. And I draw your attention once more to this particular block of information that says any device under communicative language teaching under CLT, any device which helps the learners is accepted, varying according to their age and interest, etc. That's a key point, because this allows you to use anything that you might need to use in order to help create the communication and improve their communication skills. So for instance, grammar translation method and drill pages, drill exercises, they have a place, and if you use them properly and don't overuse them, then they can be very effective to help students learn grammar and grammatical rules and that type of thing. So you can use grammar translation method activities, just don't overuse them. Same with anything in the direct method category. You can use direct method or notional functional syllabus. You can use any exercises and activities in any of these methodologies and approaches just don't overuse them. Be careful to hand the exercises out and give them out to the classes in a very controlled manner so that the students don't get overwhelmed by one type of activity. And also so the students don't become expectant of one type of activity always being the kind of thing you're going to do. So you don't want the students to think that you're always going to be giving them grammar translation drill pages. That's not a good approach. Use those a little bit of the time, maybe one day a week or one class a week. They can do some drill exercises. And you could even hand out a drill exercise to take home for them to work on at home, bring it back, and they can mark each other's page the next day at the beginning of the class. By having the students involved in the marking process, it can save you some time as well, and it gets them a bit more involved and a bit more engaged in the process. So just some little points to keep in mind. After the CLT section, we've got the learner-centered teaching. Learner-centered instruction includes techniques that focus on or account for learners' needs, styles, and goals. So in the learner-centered teaching approach, it's all about the student. Techniques that give some control to the students, such as group work, for example. Curricula that include the consultation and input of students, and they do not presuppose objectives in advance. Techniques that would allow students creativity and innovation. Techniques that enhance a student's sense of competence and self-worth. Because language teaching is a domain.
PowerPoint presentations are learner-centered, no?
I'm sorry, Sahar, what was your question?
PowerPoint presentations are learner-centered teachings, no?
The conversation skills exercise?
No, the PowerPoint presentations in class. Are they learner-centered teaching methods?
I'm not sure which PowerPoint you're talking about.
I mean, if you give certain topics for students and you assign them to make a PowerPoint presentation to their friends in the classroom.
Yes, that would be
about a certain topic.
That would be a learner-centered exercise, yes. Whenever the students create something that they use for themselves and for their peers, that's learner-centered teaching. Because all of these items give the students a sense of ownership of their learning and thereby add to their intrinsic motivation.
Yeah.
That's what you're talking about, Sahar, when the students create a PowerPoint.
Because sometimes, like, we take a certain topic and, for example, we tell them find the certain animals that are going to be extinct and talk about them and how to save them, something related to the environment. Prepare a slideshow about any animal that you like to talk about and discuss the problems they are facing and how to save them. So this is part of the presentation in class.
Yeah,
and we mark it.
That's a very good example of the learner-centered, yes. And then we have cooperative learning. A curriculum or classroom that is cooperative and therefore not competitive usually includes the above learner-centered characteristics. As students work together in pairs or groups, they share information and come to each other's aid.
Yeah.
The term cooperative also emphasizes the collaborative efforts of students and teachers to pursue goals and objectives.
And this
Next, we have
cooperative method, this cooperative method also, it gives ethical feelings to students as well. Like the learners that have more knowledge than the students that are smarter than the weaker ones, they will help them, and this is kind of ethical.
That's exactly right. Yes. And you can use that information when you're creating groups of students.
Yeah.
You can put the students into groups where you've got strong students and weaker students.
That's
So
true.
they
And this
can
is
work together.
Yeah, this is important to
Yes, that's
not
right.
put that the same level in one group.
No, you're exactly right.
Yeah.
Very good. And then we have the interactive learning. At the heart of current theories, communicative competence is essentially an interactive nature of communication. When you speak, for example, the extent to which your extended message is received is a factor of both your production and the listener's reception. Interactive classes will most likely be found doing a significant amount of pair work and group work, receiving valid language input in real-world contexts, producing language for genuine, meaningful communication, performing classroom tasks that prepare them for actual language use out there. Out there means beyond the classroom, and practicing oral communication through the give and take and spontaneity of real conversations. Writing to and for real audiences, not imaginary ones. Whole language education, one of the most attractive terms currently sweeping through our profession. Whole language has been so widely interpreted that unfortunately it is on the verge of losing its impact. Initially, the term was used to emphasize the wholeness of language as opposed to views that fragmented language into bits and pieces of phonemes and words. And it was used for the interaction and interconnections between oral and written language. The importance of the written code is as natural and developmental as the spoken code. The whole language is a label that has been used to describe cooperative learning, student-centered learning, focus on the community of learners, focus on the social nature of language, use of authentic natural language, meaningful centered language, integration of the 4 skills. With all these interpretations, it is hard to distinguish it from CLT in general. Its original intent, however, was to refer to the wholeness of language itself. Language is not the sum of its many dissectable and discrete parts. Since part of the wholeness of language includes the 4 skills interrelationships, we are compelled to attend conscientiously to the integration of 2 or more of these skills in our classrooms. And then we have total physical response. This is a fun one. This methodology works really well with young children, as this video demonstrates. And so we're going to play this video and have a look at it.
Okay, now we're going to do a little story, okay? Now, you do it with me, okay? You do it with me. Now, say hello to your mom. Hello. Hello. Say hello to your mom. Hello. You are hungry.
A TPR sequence is demonstrated. The children listen and do the movements accordingly. The sentences are repeated several times. In the beginning, it's important to maintain the order. The children learn to understand the meaning of the sentences with the help of mimes, gestures, and drawings on the board. Doing the movements themselves is an important memory aid.
Show the palm to your mom. Your mom says,
Soon, the children can make the movements on their own and in a different order.
say hello to your mom. Your mom says, say hello to your mom. Your mom shows you some plants. Your mom says, eat. Okay. Say hello to your mom. You are hungry. Your mom shows you some plants. Cut open a plant. Show the plant to your mom. Your mom says, okay, you listen to the CD and you write the numbers. Here we go.
Say hello to your mom.
It's 1,
2. You're hungry. The children listen to the sentences from the CD. They write the numbers by the pictures in their book. Afterwards, they compare their results.
and here
6.
6. And the last number here 2. Yes.
So in that video, you can see that the actions are very crucial to the total physical response approach. And that teaching method works, as I said, works really well with young children. It can also work with teenagers and adults, but it's particularly effective with young children because they love doing the actions. They're not inhibited by doing the actions. They're free spirits as young kids, so they'll do the actions easily and they'll follow those instructions nicely. Now, this method was developed by James Asher, at the San Jose State University in California. Its origins go back to the 1920s, and it draws on several traditions, including developmental psychology, learning theory, and humanistic pedagogy. Like Krashen, Asher sees successful adult second language learning as running along parallel lines to that of mother tongue acquisition in children. Again, comprehension is put before production. As with the natural approach, many hours may pass before the student produces speech utterances. In the early stages, students will act out the requests made by the teacher. Everybody raises their left arms. Maria walks slowly to the door. As students progress in understanding and confidence, more complex patterns are introduced. Sandro passed the white block to the student with a red ribbon in her hair. Elaine, take a sip of water and pass the cup to Susanna. It is claimed that TPR reduces the stress felt by second language learners and therefore induces efficient acquisition. Towards the end of a course, which can last up to 160 hours, students may be invited to verbalize their intentions. Pedro, ask Carmen to open the door. Pierre, tell Mommy you are sorry. So towards the end of the course, the instructions get a bit more complex, and the students can handle that transition nicely.
If you pass by a classroom and you do not hear any voice, then this is not a language classroom.
Were you able to hear that video?
Yeah.
Okay, that's good.
To the grammar. Degrees of comparison.
Now we're going to have a quick look at the immersion method. Most often used with children, immersion is the way that we learned, or rather acquired, our first language. Immersion method requires that children spend a large portion of each day living and working in the second language. Children in bilingual families or those living abroad often experience the immersion method. In recent years, many countries, including Canada, the USA, Russia, and Wales, have carried out experiments in this area by establishing schools where all lessons are undertaken in a second language. In the case of English-speaking Canadian children, French immersion program is the selected language. There has also been a growth in the number of bilingual schools where children spend half of each day working their first language and the other half in the second language. The results so far suggest quite a measure of success with this most natural approach to language learning. As the children learn by absorbing the language unconsciously in much the same way that they acquired their mother tongue, very little formal teaching is needed.
Five amazing ways to create your own language immersion at home. In the world of language learning, you'll hear the word immersion thrown around all over the place. Many people believe that moving to a country and being completely immersed in the language is the best way to learn. Some people even believe that it's the only way to learn. But that's not the case at all. In fact, throwing a complete beginner in a foreign country is like throwing a child in the deep end of the pool hoping to learn how to swim. It likely won't work. You need to be immersed in the language without drowning in it. As a complete beginner, you need the progression. You need to start in the shallow end of the pool. That's why, as a beginner, it can actually be more effective to create your own immersion from home and choose material that matches your current skill level. You can start with preschool material and make your way up the chain of difficulty. We've seen countless people succeed by combining home immersion with their language learning course. In this post, we'll talk about 5 simple ways you can create an artificial language immersion from home. Learn languages with Netflix. Watching television is one of the best ways to immerse yourself at home. But the question is this: how in the world do you find German TV shows if you live in Canada? The easiest way we've found is Netflix. Netflix is a language learning goldmine. There are hundreds of movies and television shows in over 20 languages. Plus, the great thing about this streaming service is that many people already have a subscription. Simply go to netflix.com/browse/audio, choose your language in the drop-down menu, and you get access to all the movies and TV shows available in that language. Now sit down, binge watch, and learn. Listen to languages with Audible. Audiobooks are absolutely amazing to immerse yourself in the new language because they allow you to easily add many hours of listening practice throughout the week. You can listen to them while doing daily activities like walking the dog, driving to work, or cleaning the house. Audible has a virtually endless library of audiobooks in many languages. You can easily find audiobooks that are appropriate for your current skill level in the language. You can even slow it down to make it easier to understand. You can buy an audiobook for a few dollars and listen to it several times. Immerse yourself anywhere, anytime. Share languages with Language Exchange. Eventually, you'll want to start having conversations with other people. This is important to improve your speaking skills. It can easily be done with online language exchange. Websites like italki.com or apps like Hi Native are very useful to connect with language learners from all over the world. You can connect with native speakers of your target language for free. You can help them learn your language while they help you learn their language. But if you prefer, you can also pay native speakers an hourly fee to help you learn. This allows you to completely focus on your speaking skills without spending time helping someone else. Both are great options. It really depends on your budget, time, and the experience you would like to have. Explore languages by reading books. Although often underestimated, reading is a great way to improve your overall knowledge of a language. Books in foreign languages are quite easy to find. They're all over the internet. Again, just make sure to look for material that matches your current skill level in the language. You can start with children picture books at first and make your way up. If you look around, there are many free and cheap classic books available because the copyright laws protecting them have expired. Amazon is probably the best place to find a great variety of books of all kinds. Master languages with YouTube. It is estimated that 300 hours of video are uploaded to YouTube every single minute. You can also navigate YouTube in a total of 76 different languages. There are videos available in your target language on pretty much any topic you can think of. Simply think of a topic, translate it in the language you want to learn, and type it into YouTube. You'll instantly get all the videos available. The beauty of YouTube is that you can watch material on any topic you find interesting. I know someone who's really into video games, and he really enjoys watching gaming YouTubers in Spanish. It's a great way for him to get used to the speed of native speakers.
Bueno, pues hola a todos, soy Luzu y bienvenidos a un nuevo vídeo de Pokémon Go.
The possibilities are endless. Personally, I love to watch TED Talks or other conferences when learning languages.
Alors, comment pouvons-nous expliquer que certaines personnes osent alors que d'autres n'osent pas?
There you have it, 5 simple ways to immerse yourself without buying a plane ticket. Learning a language is all about making it part of your life in many ways. If you follow a comprehensive language course like we know and immerse yourself in the language using these 5 methods, you'll make an incredible amount of progress in no time. We know is a language learning program we've created through years of language acquisition and research to make it as effective as possible. If you're trying to learn a new language, you should check out our website at weknow.com. That's OUINO.com. Thanks.
And there's no doubt, as we see in that video, there's no doubt about the fact that on the internet, there is an endless number of learning materials and books and videos, all kinds of things to help people learn a second language.
In my home country, the schools right now, not the, I mean, the private schools, they are doing homologation with the embassies. So, for example, if a school teaches the French system, they do homologation with the French embassy, and when they do this homologation, there are certain rules they have to follow. They have to teach history, geography of France, and in French as well. And students have later on to submit the bac français. Bac français, it's a requirement in France, so they have to submit it as an exam also in Lebanon. So students get immersed in the culture indirectly through history, geography classes, learning about France. And
yes, that's excellent.
And the same is for the English. They do homologation with the British Council, and they learn about Britain, and they submit exams as well.
Very good.
Most schools are doing this right now, and students like also they take them once per year travel visits to foreign countries related to the language they are studying in.
Those are excellent things that they're doing with the students.
Yeah, not
Good for
most
them.
countries have this, but we do have it in our own country.
Yes. What country is your home country? Lebanon?
Lebanon. Yeah.
Lebanon, yes. I have some young women from previous TESOL classes
Mhm.
who I have conversations with periodically through Skype.
Yeah.
And we often meet up on a weekly basis just to discuss what they're doing. They're teaching English as a second language. Most of them are in Iran,
Mhm. Oh, I see.
and they describe the books they're using. They describe what they're doing with their students, and
Mhm.
they're doing similar things that you described, Sahar.
Yeah. Yeah. Because most of the private schools now are like this. They work with embassies. Even myself, I went, there is the AEFE, it is related to the French embassy. They do us workshops related to teaching English as a second language for French students. And they say, as you were saying, we should let them watch videos and discuss these videos and learn the language through videos, especially with the elementary classes.
Videos and television shows and movies as well.
That's true. And the total physical response. The sounds
Yes,
in the classroom, they are very important.
that's right.
And
That's right.
we learned how to design a curriculum, like every level of students has a certain vocabulary words that they need to learn each year. So, for example, you have to set the curriculum in this way. For example, grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, every grade has its own vocabulary that they should master it by the end of the year.
Excellent. Yes, that's very good. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Yeah,
And
because practice is different than theory, you know?
yes, yes, it is. I'm going to draw your attention back to the TESOL manual that's under the Resources tab under Modules in the Canvas platform. And I would strongly suggest that you have a look at this because it has a very good synopsis of several of these methodologies, the grammar translation method, the direct method, or Berlitz method. And the audio-lingual method, also known as the Army method. Right there, the common reference for audio-lingual is the Army method because the US Army used it extensively with training their soldiers. And the notional functional syllabus, these are very good explanations of the various methodologies. So be sure to go to this resource and have a look at it as well. It has a section on CLT.
Comparative.
And here's this reference chart, the comparative chart between audio-lingual and communicative language teaching. I would strongly recommend that you print this page out of the manual and just keep it as a piece of paper for reference.
The manual can be downloaded as well.
Yes, you can download it as well. That's right. I printed out just this one page. I didn't print the entire document. It's about 85 or 90 pages long, if I remember correctly. 181 pages. 181 pages, yes. So I wouldn't suggest you print the entire document, but you should download it.
I already did.
And there's a section here on learner-centered and cooperative learning, interactive learning, whole language education, total physical response, the immersion method, the lexical approach, the humanistic approach, and learner-centered teaching. And then finally, a conclusion about the different methods. Your approach to language teaching is the keystone to all your teaching methodology in the classroom. you should be able to profess at least major components of your theory of language learning and education, and have at least an understanding of how that theory enlightens your classroom practices. Keep in mind the dynamic nature of the theoretical stance of even the most experienced teachers. We have much to learn collectively in the profession. You may even want to consult other approaches to second language teaching, such as community language classes, Wikipedia, the silent way, or the natural approach, and incorporate some of their principles in your personal approach. And then finally, they have a description of the outcomes-based method, a curriculum planning concept from 2017, developed by the University Grants Committee of Hong Kong. They appointed a consultant to advise on the facilitation of outcomes-based teaching and learning in Hong Kong universities. So outcomes-based education implies that when planning programs and desirable learning outcomes are identified and considered, course content, learning activities, and assessment. Oh, this is interesting. I don't know why that page is sideways.
It's flipped. You rotate it up. Yeah. No, just to push the rotating button up near zoom. The word zoom, this circle. The circle. No, not this one. The circle. Yeah, this one. One more time. One more time. Okay.
Oh.
You
Well, there we go. Thank you, Sahar.
welcome.
Well, now I can read it. So course content, learning activities, and assessment are designed so as to be consistent with the achievement of the desired learning outcomes. Through all my years of teaching, I was using outcomes-based approach without even realizing what it was called. So I would always decide what I wanted to have as the outcome of a lesson plan or a curriculum unit. And then I would work backwards and develop the process to get the students to get to the outcome. So outcomes-based is just simply deciding what you want the outcome to be and then organizing your activities to reach the outcome. Because if you start designing a lesson plan and you just think, well, I'll just start here and I'll see where it takes me, you could end up with a huge lesson plan that you're never able to finish. It's just too much. And it gets out of control. It grows out of control. So always
we usually set a curriculum at the beginning of the year according to the hours we are going to teach and every goal that we have to reach in each classroom before preparing the lessons.
Yes, that's right. That's right. So be sure to go to this resource and have a look at it and download it for sure. So that's the end of today's material. Do you have any questions or comments about these methodologies from today?
Not really. I already went through because the topic I chose already required me to read a lot about these methods.
Right. Well, that's okay. That's good.
Yeah. And I already did in my work experience a lot of workshops about this, about the interactive teaching, about using the virtual reality and the AI in the classroom. I already did workshops about this.
Very good.
Because the virtual reality is also good in biology classes for adults, you know?
Yes.
They can see the human body, the bones, how does it work in scientific labs, and this is very important. Students feel involved
Yes,
when
excellent.
they're.
That's
And
right.
there's something about the conclusion that you were saying. It's not only about the methods, it's also about the teacher hearing her students' needs as well.
Yes, exactly.
She should listen to the learner's needs. What does that learner need?
That's right. Definitely. The needs of the students need to be involved in the curriculum planning.
Yes.
Not too bad.
Okay. Well, very good, folks. So I believe on Saturday, I'm pretty sure that you will have Elham Masagi as the Saturday instructor. Normally, she does the Saturday lessons. She works during the week, but she was not available last Saturday, so that's why I did last Saturday. But
So we miss you until next week.
she should be with you on Saturday, and then I'll be back on Monday.
Yeah.
So on Monday, when I come back, we're going to be looking at conversation activities and discussing how to design conversation activities, which is your next assignment.
Thank you.
So just one final question, Daniel. There's really no class on any Tuesday, right? Because I have a schedule for Tuesday with the link and everything. I don't know how that happened to my calendar, but I'm trying to edit the calendar. So it's only Mondays and Wednesdays and Saturdays.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's correct. So the very first class we had was on a Tuesday, but that was simply because of the Canada Day holiday on the Monday.
But I'm not sure why I have it. I have it all throughout the month on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Saturday, and with the links and everything. So I was like, yesterday I was sending email. I was like, did the class get canceled or what happened? Because I was waiting for the class.
Well, that's too bad, but take Tuesdays out of your calendar.
Okay.
There's no webinar on Tuesday.
Perfect. That's excellent to know. I'll do that now.
Okay, so I look forward to seeing all of you next Monday for sure.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, have a great one.
So you have a good few days, and congratulations on everybody getting their first essay done and handed in. That's good for you.
Hope that we have good marks.
I hope so too.
I'm sure you will. Yes, I have no doubt. I'm sure you will. So I wouldn't worry about that part.
Thank you.
Okay, have a good few days, folks. And Issa, I hope you get your construction done soon there.
Oh no, it's the PhD research going on. So this I'm in the university lab. I'm doing my PhD here, and I've done it for 4 years, and hopefully there's a couple of months left or so. Yeah.
Well, we'll be interested to see what it looks like when it's all done.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, well, have a good few days, folks. I'll see you on Monday.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.